Hello, YouTubers. Christians have had serious disagreements about Daniel's 70th week from very early in its history. It's led to a great deal of confusion about the subject. If you watched my previous video about Daniel's 70th week, you know that I tend to see at least half of Daniel's 70th week as being fulfilled in the past. At the same time, I've made the point that there are some thoughtful Christians that have made the case that all of Daniel's 70th week is in the future. That's what this video is about. Hippolytus had perhaps the most extensive writing on early Christian premillennial eschatology. Concerning Daniel's 70th week, he had this to say. Now, Daniel will set forth this subject to us. For he says, "And 1 week will make a covenant with many, and it shall be in the midst of the week my sacrifice and oblation shall cease." By 1 week, therefore, he meant the last week, which is to be at the end of the whole world, of which week the two prophets, Enoch and Elijah, will take up the half. For they will preach 1260 days, clothed in sackcloth, proclaiming repentance to the people and to all the nations. So, to be clear, the Bible indicates that the reign of the Antichrist is 3.5 years. It also indicates that the witnesses are given power for 3.5 years. Also, the Bible suggests that these 3.5 year periods happen shortly after one another. That first the witnesses are given power, and then shortly after that they are killed by the Antichrist, who is then given power. The Bible also makes clear that the fifth seal is the Great Tribulation. We'll see why that's important in just a second, but it is important to note that those who are given white robes are those that come out of the Great Tribulation. We learned this from chapter 7. And it is those that are in the fifth seal that are given the white robes, which we learn in chapter 6. Moreover, during the sixth seal, the people plainly see the sun and moon darkened and state that God's wrath is about to come. And those are the same events that you see that happen immediately after the tribulation, according to Jesus. This is important because the Bible teaches that the two witnesses come after these events, since the two witnesses are given power in between the sixth and seventh trumpet. Since it is the Antichrist that kills the witnesses, either he is in power at the time, or that the killing of the two witnesses is what cements his authority to reign for 42 months, in which case his reign would start at the death of the two witnesses. That his reign starts at the death of the two witnesses sounds like a good argument, but the problem is, again, if you notice the chronology of Revelation, the witnesses aren't given the authority to preach until in between the sixth and seventh trumpet. Then, immediately after the seventh trumpet, in chapter 12, you see a vision of a dragon coming to persecute and given power for 42 months. Remember, none of this 7-year period starts until the witnesses are given power to preach. And that happens in the sixth, or after the sixth trumpet and before the seventh trumpet. And then what happens after the 42 months reign of the Antichrist? Chapter 14 gives a vision of Jesus returning. Then the bowl judgments start. So, from start to finish, there is this 7-year period of time starting after the sixth trumpet ends and lasting until the return of Christ, after which God pours out his wrath. That is, if we were to take Revelation literally and chronologically. This doesn't seem to make sense. I mean, I don't think I've heard of a Christian claim that the Antichrist rises to power sometime after the tribulation. So, either all of Daniel's 70th week isn't in the future, or we have really gotten our chronology screwed up. Why do I say that? Well, if we accept that the fifth seal is the Great Tribulation, as the Bible plainly teaches, and also accept a literal and chronological interpretation, we must conclude that the witnesses aren't given authority, and therefore the start of Daniel's 70th week doesn't start until after the tribulation. The stuff that happens in chapter 11 happens after chapter 6, in short. What's interesting to note is that if this understanding is correct, it means that the Antichrist doesn't really have much to do with the Great Tribulation. Rather, the Great Tribulation is humans persecuting Christians, and that the Antichrist makes war with Christians after they are persecuted by the world. So Christians get persecution from the world. Having lived through the Great Tribulation, they then experience the wrath of the Antichrist. In short, the rapture doesn't happen until chapter 14, so they are around to experience the events that happen up and until the events in chapter 13. Hey folks, if you like my video and support my message, please show your support by subscribing. Thanks.